And it's now time for SME on Point. So most entrepreneurs are often pushed by their destiny to quit informal employment and branch out on their own. While this is a decision that's not taken lightly by those who have heeded their entrepreneurial calling, some report a great sense of freedom after they've heeded this call. This is precisely the story of Itumeleng Sedumedi, a former journalist here at the SABC, in fact, who's turned into a creative transformer whose small business gives old shoes a second chance. Mangoba Nkosi edited the following insert. Itumeleng Sedumedi studied and practiced as a journalist for many years. While she documented art stories of others, she says deep down something was missing. Her heart longed for something else that was not in the newsroom. Sedumedi says every time she thought of leaving her full-time job, she remembered the sacrifices that her family made for her.
But because this thing, once it registers, it whispers and then it speaks, and if you keep on ignoring it, it ends up screaming. And when it starts screaming, it makes you uncomfortable wherever you are. So the newsroom started becoming a place I couldn't stand anymore. And even when I could still deliver what was expected of me, I knew inside that it just wasn't going anywhere. So I started looking into things that I was passionate about.
In her quest to find her true calling, she tried her hand in fitness and beauty, which allowed her to finally leave formal employment and become self-employed. But as the pandemic and the weak economy would have it, those businesses were hard hit. But it was not over.
And then one night, something in my head says shoes. And I'm thinking, okay, I know I love shoes, but what can I do with or about shoes? So I ignore it because it's not making any sense to me.
At that time.
The following night, the thought returns, shoes, 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 shoes. What can I do? And this keeps on coming back every single night until one night I decide, let me see where my creative juices can lead me.
Sedumedi's creative juices eventually led her to transforming old, tired shoes, giving them a new lease of life.
That I never know what I'm going to do to a shoe, but I never say no. Almost every second shoe that comes to me overwhelms me because I look at it and I think I obviously can't do anything to it. And by the end of that, I'm surprised just as much as the owner of the shoe is surprised, you know? And it's been exhilarating to see people react to what I do to their shoes. People are always beyond themselves when they see what I do to their shoes, you know? Sometimes I even, as an overthinker, as someone who chases perfection, sometimes I'm not fully satisfied with what I've put on the table, but when you see someone else's reaction, you know just to stop questioning yourself as much as you do.
Sedumedi Creative Transformations is growing and even moving to a bigger space where Sedumedi will train at least one more person to add to another pair of hands. She says she is grateful to shoes.
There's a second life in every shoe. Shoes gave me my second life. That's how I give them their second life.
Liabo Setho, SABC News, Johannesburg. Thank you so much to Sedumedi for sharing your story with SME on Point. Do remember that we are on Facebook at SME on Point. We'd love to hear your views on what you think of the featured businesses that we give you every single Friday. The high unemployment rate among the youth has necessitated a conversation about the need to build and nurture entrepreneurship at a young age. The Allan Gray Orbis Foundation believes that entrepreneurship education is a basic human right, and entrepreneurship education should be grounded in learned optimism and agency. This is why they've come up with the Allan Gray Entrepreneurship Challenge that's open to all high school learners across the country, and participation is at no cost. But let's chat to Nontando Mthethwa, who's the head of public affairs at Allan Gray, to tell us more about the challenge. Nontando, thank you and welcome to SME on Point. So the number of young people that are unable to find jobs is really discouraging, and Allan Gray believes that entrepreneurship is the answer. Tell us more about the challenge and how it works.
Thank you. With regards to the Allan Gray Entrepreneurship Challenge, it's a 5-week challenge which we run in order to teach youth entrepreneurship skills that are applicable in real life. We have a series of micro challenges which are a reflection of some of the issues that we're trying to grapple with as society. So, for instance, issues of food security, the health space, and looking at how do we encourage young people to look at those challenges in society as an opportunity to add value to society through entrepreneurship. And it allows them the opportunity to, really simulate how a business would operate, from developing a business plan to a marketing plan, and how to deliver on strategy in order to run a successful business.
Right. So obviously, if this is done at high school level, you could say that, sometimes the level of maturity may not necessarily meet some of the activities that are perhaps put in front of the students. How do you make sure that they are perfectly crafted for an 18-year-old or a 14 to 18-year-old mind?
Thank you for that question. With regards to just ensuring that the curriculum that is implemented is one age appropriate, we really invest a lot of time in terms of interpreting the curriculum and also communicating it in such a manner that it is easily understandable by a young student, because we target high school learners from grade 8 to 12. So how the concepts are delivered are really in such a manner that it is understandable to them. But also in terms of the level of innovation from our youth, you'd actually be surprised in terms of how when you've empowered somebody to be able to identify opportunity, they are skilled in being able to innovate around how to really upgrade some of their thinking with regards to their entrepreneurial abilities. But we also encourage teachers from the different schools across the country to get involved. And what we would do is that each week distribute teacher packs that would help educators to be able to support the students from their schools who are participating in the challenge.
Let's talk about the criteria that's needed and which schools. Is it both public and private or independent schools, or is there a difference in who you accept for this challenge? Please take us through the criteria.
So the only criteria is that you must be a high school learner at a South African school. So it's open to all schools, whether public, private, independent. All high school learners can participate. And in addition to that, and as previously indicated, we encourage their educators to also subscribe, because there's a lot of content that assists teachers in being able to also drive the entrepreneurship education curriculum within their schools, even beyond the 5 weeks of the challenge itself. And also encourage entrepreneurs to also get on board our platform, because they can also play a coaching role in terms of the young aspiring entrepreneurs that we see joining the game.
Yeah, before I let you go, I see that you also have a gaming network. I know that gaming is big among the youth. Tell me about this gaming network.
Yes, the gaming network is aimed at encouraging different stakeholders to be a part of really driving entrepreneurship within our communities. So, for instance, learners can engage and network with each other as they, for instance, try to resolve some of the challenges or innovations that they're coming up with. They can collaborate with each other. Educators as well, in terms of just building a network of support for themselves in terms of identifying like-minded teachers who are interested in driving entrepreneurship within their schools and share some of the lessons that they're picking up from the game.
Yeah.
But also, most importantly, entrepreneurs who can collaborate with each other, and government stakeholders who are interested in driving entrepreneurship education in schools. It provides a very nice mix of people that can assist us in terms of making sure that the challenge lives beyond the 5 weeks.
Nontando, thank you so much for sharing the input of the Allan Gray Entrepreneurship Challenge, which I believe if one does Google the Allan Gray website or check on your website, you should be getting a link to the Entrepreneurship Challenge. But thank you so much for joining us on SME On Point. That's Nontando Mthethwa. She is the head of public affairs at Allan Gray. They're running a great entrepreneurship challenge, which I encourage our viewers, if you have a daughter or a son that's at high school level and is showing traits of being an entrepreneur in future, please do look it up and see if you cannot register them there. We do definitely need more entrepreneurs. But that's all from me for this week. I'll be back again next week with another bout of SME On Point. But up next, it's Books on Point with Nastasia Arendse. Do stay with us.